Hi and welcome back to my workshop. I'm Tony, still trying to build this tank, which is the Tiger 1 Lake variant Armortek 1:6 scale tank. And we're now starting on the very top and final stages of the build, which is the turret and all the parts that go along with that, including the equipment bin that goes on the back and the gun barrel and the main hatches and everything else. So really looking forward to doing this stage of the build. It kind of feels weird because it feels like I'm coming to the end of a bit of a journey. I guess not, because then we're going to go on to do all the option motion packs and lighting and the gun recoil system and all the other really complicated bits that scare me a little bit, but I'm sure I'll get through it. So today I'm going to concentrate, or the very first stage of this particular build is the equipment box, which is the next step. I'm going to follow again the Armortek instructions. I will sort of spend, hopefully not too long, pulling all the various fixings I'm going to need and all the little accessories and bits that's going to help me build this particular part. I've unwrapped this already, and this comes as almost a complete section. The top and bottom are loosely fitted, and that just needs to be secured. Now again, I've seen various builders on sort of online enhance this, but you know, I think it's perfectly fine the way it is. That's just my view, and I think once assembled and painted, it's going to look really smart. So I'm going to crack on, get all the bits and pieces, and I'll be back shortly. So that didn't take too long at all, and pretty much ready to go. So we have the pre-assembled equipment bin that just needs to be well, the fixings installed to secure this and tighten all this up into the aluminium pre-threaded pieces, cast pieces here. We've got the little lids which will have hinges applied. There is a right and a wrong way to put these on. Just loosely fitted them there because it goes with the shape, and the various fittings, which again, the search for fittings gets easier and easier as the build continues and starts coming to the end, because there's a lot less bags and all sort of areas to look. So all good, all ready to go. So I'm going to start this, but I'll speed the whole thing up. So that's the equipment bin completed. I've kept these loose as it asked to do in the instructions until it goes onto the turret. It hasn't asked me to, but I've also kept these little lugs loose as well, so I guess these are means to fix to the turret. And relatively straightforward. A couple of issues with the brass hinges, just the holes didn't align with the holes in the aluminium cast piece, so I just carefully used my cordless drill just to ream out the hole a little bit, and then these are a bit too big. Sorry, the holes were a bit too small for these fixings, and these are the right fixings. and I didn't want to force the fixing through because it would damage the thread, so I just opened that up with a increased the hole by another 0.5 millimeter, and then just used my Dremel to clean up the edges so there's no sharp edges. So that's it. So the next piece, I believe, is the beginning of the construction of the main turret. So I'll put that to one side and we'll move on. Right, so this is the main turret. Got all the fixings. Didn't take a long time at all. Not many fixings required. The sort of this front plate here slots into some cutouts. I've already tested to make sure that they fit nice and snug, and they do without having to work too much. Now I've got to try and get this locked into this. To try and force this open, it's going to take a lot of strength. So I'm going to use, I've got this set up as my little sash clamp here, which is a window sash clamp. I'm just going to try and pull this in ever so slowly. I might have to encourage that up a bit. Just try ever so slowly bring that into position. Watching everything as I do it. I think just needs a small tap. And that's going to go. Slacken that off, and the clamp has done its job. So I just need to make sure that that's in as far as it should be. Pop the clamp away. Again, probably not the most conventional way of doing things, but seems to have worked. If you have a reverse clamp, you can do exactly the same. That's it. So I think that's fine. And then obviously when the fixings go in around this, that'll all pull together. Now the instructions are very clear that you should do what I've just done first before you attempt to do this base. So hopefully that was clear to you. I don't think, well, I mean, if you're strong enough you could probably pull that apart, but I think to try and do that one hand, you know, on your own. So if you've got a sash clamp or a reverse clamp which would do exactly the same thing, it's ideal. So we're now going to move on to the next part, which is fixing this to the main base of the turret. So we've just going to start doing the turret and the gun barrel. I had to do a lot of cleaning up of the barrel itself in order for it to work quite nicely with the sleeve. I've also worked out, put it on my bench sander. As you can see, I've primed and painted this end just so that I know that the sleeve will work with it, and it does. Fits on there lovely now. So I guess, I mean, it would probably need painting again, but I wanted to just build up the coats of paint and to make sure that when this sleeve is, when it's inserted in the sleeve, it works with the paint coat on it, and didn't want to damage the paint and then make this stiff, because obviously when it recoils, this needs to be moving freely. So that's that. That took a bit of time on a bench sander with a very fine grit silicon-based sandpaper. That's done. And while I was doing all of that, I have actually started painting the top of the tank, the main top deck of the tank, which I'll show you shortly. And I also I went ahead and ordered a few upgrades. I haven't gone mad, just wanted to do something while I was in the middle of doing all the cleaning and painting. I wanted to sort of do some upgrades. So I got this from a company called Armortek. They sent me the full, this is the loader's hatch. They sent me the full kit. This is quite a heavy version versus the Armortek. So this is the Armortek kit supplied hatch lid, which fits perfectly in the hinges. I didn't use this, but what I have done is I've used all the other components from the Armortek's kit, and they just simply glue in, and you just follow the instructions as if you are going to bond them to the other one. I just think that the detailing on this is lovely, and so when the loader's hatch is open, I'm going to have a sort of a 12-inch operator, German operator, in this position, so you will see all of this detail when the hatch is open. I haven't done anything with the other hatches, but I just thought this is quite an important thing to do. Quite inexpensive. Go to Armortek's website, UK based company, and do loads of little enhancements, and I'll show you the link at the end of this video. So that's that. So now I'm going to go on and start sort of putting the main components together here. So this is sort of the main sort of support for the whole gun barrel, and that sort of fits inside that, and then this is fixed to it, and then this section fixed to that, and so on and so forth. So I've gone ahead and stuck one of the ball bearings in this end. It asks you to super glue these ball bearings in, so I'll do that. Again, being careful not to get the glue actually on the bearing, so I'm just going to go around the edges and use the nozzle of the super glue tube itself just to spread that around. Now, if it's anything like the previous one, it will need a bit of gentle encouragement. Just making sure that is clean, and it is. Just get it sort of as straight as possible, and that's it. That's in. So that's in. Now there's a wrong way and a right way to put this. This is the right way, so this being on the right hand side as you look at it, and then all these holes on the back, as opposed to this being the front of it. And obviously making sure that you don't put it the wrong way up. All I've done is just, again, I just for my own sanity, just put a pencil mark on there with the arrow saying up, so I know that I don't get and that's not confused, but I don't lose track of what I'm trying to achieve. So that's that. So this gets supported by these beautifully machined these probably with the crane lugs, I guess, for the actual real tank. And they screw through here, or into that. It just takes, it's going to be a bit fiddly, but so that's that one semi-located. I'm going to do the same for this side. and you can see the ball bearings doing their amazing job as they do. Now these need to be wound in, and I'm going to use, I think I'm going to have to use, I mean there is 2 locators there, but I don't have the right tool for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this up on its end, like so, and just try and wind that in as much as it has to go in quite a way. I'm going to try and use these sort of tweezers that I've got just to locate into the 2 holes and help sort of think, not sure if that's in all the way. I'll have to double check that. Same kind of principle here. Now what I did do ahead of putting this in, I did clean up the thread and the corresponding thread in the aluminium cast piece so that these went in reasonably easy, but I think I'm probably going to have to give them another, just to see if they will go in a bit more. I'm going to use my mole grips, but I'm going to protect that with a bit of old cloth. Yeah, it does definitely want to move more. I think that's as far as that's going to go. And then just spin that around and do the same again on this side. It's a heavy old lump. Now it's all kind of semi-assembled. I haven't used any thread locker on this because again I don't want to get in a situation where I have to. Yeah, that wants to move quite a lot actually. And I'll be able to judge whether this seems to be the better of the 2. Just looking on the inside to see if it's still turning, and it is. I mean, again, probably not the most conventional way of doing this, but it's working. And I can see that that's actually, this end is almost flush with the turret, and so that's obviously what it's supposed to do. Now that's in. Happy with that. Now I'll just run back to this one, because that definitely needs to go in a bit more. Yeah, that's as far as that's going to go. So that's that. Relatively straightforward and sort of moves beautifully. So now the next job is to attach this main plate to that, and that's done via these 6 50mm bolts which go through there. Sorry, 4 50mm bolts. Getting ahead of myself. And making sure this is going on the right way, and it is. Now, I was thinking about attaching this first, but then I thought that could be quite awkward to do, so I'm going to do that afterwards. That might be the right way to do it, but anyway. Get the right Allen key out. And just start locating these loosely. One thing to mention, and I don't know whether there's a change in the Armortek kit, but the sleeve or the bush that goes inside this, I've seen on YouTube and other builders with the late variant of the Tiger with a brass bush inside this, but they send you a plastic one, which I think a brass one would have been better. I'm going to see how we get on with that. I might actually contact Armortek to see if there is a brass option available, or indeed just go and see if I can source online a brass option. So I'm not going to glue that in place just yet. I just think brass would be better in the long run. So that's that. That's on. And obviously this is not, it's going to be like this and a bit awkward until the actual option pack, and I attach that to elevate the gun. So it's going to be a bit wonky, shall we say, for a while. So I'm not going to, that's why I'm quite happy not to install the barrel at this stage, because I'm guessing that once, if I put this on top of the tank and the barrel's in it, and where I can't support the barrel, I probably could with a, so that's that. So that's in. Simple as that. Now, so that's that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to elevate this up. I've got a couple of, I'll just move the camera out a little bit so you can see, or up a little bit so you can see what I'm about to do. So I've got a couple of chocks that I use to chock my my quad when I transport it. And that just keeps that in that position, allows me to see that. Insert this section here. I'll try and turn that round so you can see. Now there's some brass CNC pieces that go on here ahead of the bolts, and then you have these cone head quite accurately representing, use the right bloody screw, sorry, the cone head bolts, which accurately represent what you see on the actual Tiger tank. So they go in there, and I'll wind them in. And we'll get those in fairly loosely for now, until I get the others in. Same again this side. Can't believe I'm coming to the end of this build. I mean, I've obviously got the option packs to deal with whenever they arrive. I've got more painting to do, and I've got to fit the tracks, which, as you know, I've already put together and painted. So it's like it's not the end of the journey, but it's coming towards the sort of, I don't know, the final chapter. And as I've said before, I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed the whole experience. I'll just go around and tighten these up. And I can say that, having never built anything like this at this scale, I've built 1:35 scale things before, and static models, as I said previously. I was reticent about going ahead with this, but I think as long as you have got some basic skills, the space is very important, and some of the basic tools. I mean, I'm lucky, I've got pretty much a fully equipped workshop. I mean, some tools I don't have because I don't need them. This is more than achievable for any of you. So that's that. Let's move the camera so you can see. So that's it. Obviously, when it has its all its motors fitted at the back here, this will keep this gun in its rigid position. But at the moment, it's just because of the weight, the very weight of it. Now, the last thing I want to do is add the barrel to it and then just become a problematic thing to move around. So I'm quite happy to leave that. And as I said, I'm going to see if I can source an alternative bush, just because I think it might be better and in brass. So I'm not going to go and glue this in just yet, and obviously the barrel is just slid in there loosely anyway until such time you attach everything at the back. So the next element is going to be the main top piece, this piece here. All I've done here is I've gone ahead and installed the hinges here so that I could just test fit this hatch. So yeah, that fits in there. I won't force it in just yet. So we're now going to go ahead and put this together, put the cupola on here, and another thing I bought from Armor Packs is the machine gun support, which goes on top of the cupola, which is here. And I've got a really smart MG34 German machine gun, which is typical what they used to use on this type of tank, and that's been purchased from sort of Dragon, which is a company that makes really smart this sort of scale 1:6 scale figures and accessories, but I'll show you that nearer the time. So yeah, I mean, it's coming together, and I did also test fit this onto the top deck, and it moves brilliantly. It rotates exactly as it should. So we'll move on now and do the rest of this. Right, so that's probably better. Right, so we've got the hinge itself, which bolts through the main sort of frame or main substrate. We have a pin that goes through, that connects the door, and that's about it. Obviously, again, usual problem with these things, it just needs a little bit of cleaning up. So I'm going to try with my deburring tool, which has been invaluable. Inexpensive tool, easily available across the web, and saves an inordinate amount of time. That's a bit tight, but I think it needs to be. That's better. I've already cleaned up and deburred the holes for this, and that goes in there nice and smooth. So probably just do a little bit more on that. Yeah, I think that's fine. Right, so we now need to attach these to the hole, and it asks me to use 20mm M3 cap fixings, which are there. The usual challenge of the attaching a nut the other end. Right. Here we go again. Right. That's twisted. Awkward is one way of explaining it. Another one is not really publishable. Okay, that's got that. That's at least that's in there. Same again. Maybe I need to think maybe I should have put the pin in first, but we'll see. Again, so awkward. There we go. There we go. That's it. I will tighten that up, but I'm not going to tighten it just yet because obviously I've got to worry about getting the pin through this and into this. And again, we have a similar problem here where this will not fit into this. So I'm going to have to use my Dremel to make this fit. It's just, again, I can just see it's just oversized too much. It's just in the casting, so I'll just get my goggles on. Try that for size. There you go. It's in. Now, that around would be good. That's fine. Kind of odd. It's yeah. I guess it is what it is. Straight piece, round. Yeah. So geometry doesn't really work, but let's hope the pin does its job now. So I'm going to start by take those goggles off. Just with my little hammer, my little mallet, my modelling mallet. See if that. Oh, it's there, I can see it. Now we've got to try and get that. Yeah, it's starting to go. Right, I think I might try and put this in with a clamp. That's going. This thing's about 50 years old, I think, but still useful. That's going in nicely now. Just that last bit. Double check that before I start sending it home. It's almost there. Just going, just needs that final bit of encouragement. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's in. That's that. Just a bit odd, I think. My personal view, just could have been a bit of a curved section to this rather than straight. But it's does its job. I guess we'll probably just tighten this up now. So. That's that. Let's hope it doesn't keep. So, yeah, it's an odd one that. I would have thought that would have been curved. I'm going to check. I've got some reference books for a tiger, late and early tigers. I'm going to check and see what the deal was with. In fact, it just seems. I mean, it operates perfectly, but just seems that this should be slightly curved to match the curve of the turret, but we'll see. Well, I don't think there's anything I can do about that, but anyway, that's that. There's a couple of extra bits they ask you to put on, which are the little viewing ports. You get 2 of these and they go either side where my fingers are. They ask you to glue these in. It's a heavy old lump now. And these will be horizontal to this. Feels tight. Just clean that up. I don't think that's going to need much. I'll put a bit of glue on this edge here. And then trusty mallet. Keeping an eye on that to see if that's parallel with its line. There it is. That's gone in nice. Flip her over. Do the other side. Right, so that's good. Just put a bit of glue again on that leading edge. I think that's all we're going to need to do with that. This time keeping the line parallel with this side. It's just doing this by eye really. No. That's that. And then the last thing they ask you to do is to attach the equipment bin, which is this piece obviously that we've previously made. So that goes on there. But part of me's thinking I might wait until I've actually it'd be good if you could see that, eh? So that's yeah, so this is the equipment bin, but part of me thinks I should wait until I've painted it and then paint this and then attach. So I'm probably going to do that. So that's that. The next part again, well, I guess we'll go back to thinking about doing this lid. So yes, so this will be the next thing that we do. And some more painting, and actually it'll be pretty much close to the finishing point, as I said earlier. So it's I'll sort of get everything ready for this part here, and I'll be right back. Right, so we're now on the very final part of the turret, which is the lid. I've gone ahead and just basically fix these two things. That's a thing you just have to Loctite super glue in. This is just fixed with a couple of fixings, and everything else you're about to see. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean these parts up. I think this is the sort of part of the ventilation system. Just want to clean this up so that when it's painted it doesn't have there's no issues on it. I've gone ahead and started building the cupola. Very straightforward. I'll talk you through that in a second. But basically, it's quite a neat detail. It's got an M6 bolt that allows you to lift the cupola lid off and move it around, out of the way, and then back in place. I've still got to put the gun rail on, which goes here, but I'm just still waiting for this to go off. I've put the clear acrylic or plastic periscope pieces in, which I'll mask off when it comes to painting. I'll mask this off so that it doesn't get any paint on it. But yeah, really smart idea. That very easy, pops out of the way and it pops back into place. So I mean, that's very straightforward, no issues with that. So we're just going to go on and do this piece now. So this is made up of a few pieces. I believe that this sits on the bottom, this ring here sits on top of that, then you have this cast aluminium piece that goes on top of that. Got a couple of little pins that go in these holes here, and then this sits on the whole top of that. So again, building up quite a nice detail. So these are M3 16mm countersunk pieces or fixings. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line up one of these at least. Pop that through onto that. Pop that through onto that. And then I'm going to put another one in. So we've got alignment. It's obviously tricksy. I've unpacked the machine gun holder from Armorpacks, but although it's a small piece, there's many pieces to it. So I'm going to spend a bit of time just studying that before I go ahead and put it on. But it basically sits on top of this gun rail that's this here, which we'll glue on in a second. I know it's all super glue, but you still need to give it a chance to set. So again, I'm just doing this ahead of passing them through, so at least they're all aligned. And that's that. So I'll just pick that up. Spin on a corresponding nut. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put a bit of thread locker on that. Good job, they give you plenty of spares. And they do. Things like nuts, they certainly give you more than you need, which is good, because I have lost a few. I'll just hold that underneath. Tighten that up. Now, just finish off the remaining 4 fixings. This just needs a bit of encouragement to go through the aluminium. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll clean that out. Again, it's just in the casting process. What you don't want to do is force the screw or the fixing through that, because it might damage the thread and it won't allow you to attach the nut on the other end. There we go. Should have done that in the first place. I started off with the thread locker. I started off with a smaller bottle. I ended up getting this size, and this has been brilliant. I mean, this is a 50 milliliter extreme thread locker. I've still got some in there, pretty much enough to finish the build. But again, if you're gonna do this, definitely go. I know they're a little bit more expensive, but in the long run, it works out cheaper to buy the bigger size bottle. I understand Armortek have released, or certainly going to look to release, another couple of models soon. I mean, it's so addictive, this. If I had the money, disposable income, I would definitely get another one and build. I'd love to, build a few of these. I've enjoyed it so much, but I don't think my wife would approve of that. We're coming into the spring now, and she's quite happy the fact this is coming to the end, or near enough the end, so that I can start working in the garden again and doing all the normal jobs. So that's that. That's nice and easy. I'm just going to zoom in. So that's that. The finishing piece on that is just a couple of 6mm M2, I think M2.5 pins, which they just need to be super glued. Now I have already pre-tested to see that these fit. They do. Very nice. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them in this. That way. I'm hoping it'll be a lot easier to locate. So that's that. First of the pin. Classic. There we go. That's in. Second. In. That's that. You can see that. Two little pins now in. Super glue this corresponding holes in here. Line these up. And that's it. That's that in. It's quite a nice detail, actually. And that's that. I might rub that off. That's quite. I don't think that should be there, but anyway, I'll get rid of that. So I'm going to now go on and fix the cupola, and that involves. We need to make sure we locate this the correct way, and that would be this way. So positioning it there. I'll put this gun thing on afterwards. Now, just corresponding holes, making sure that this is in the same area as the circular cutout as granted for. And these tend to take M3 10mm cap fixings, and they just, guessing they're already threaded, and they are. Just need to make sure that it's aligned. That's a bit better. That's going in nicely. There's only 4 fixings, so I don't think you need to worry too much about the sequence of how you fix this on. And that's it, and obviously that will stay like that while until it's got somewhere for the bolt to sort of hide. All I did with that is I just put a bit of thread locker on that. There's nothing else. It seems odd. I might fabricate something to go on top of that, but I'll have a look at my Tiger 1 reference book to see if there's something other than that should be like that. So that's that. Then the next piece is the gun support. I will say that hopefully it fits. It does, fits like a glove. Now, and you'll notice that there's two of these that don't have any cutouts on. Just check your instructions and make sure that you put these to this side of the arm, and that's then correct in accordance to the Armortek's instructions. So again, this is just a super glue job. So I'm just going to, I'm probably better off putting on this. Now, if you use a barrier cream like I do, and if you get super glue on your fingers, it doesn't matter, because the cream creates this thin barrier in between you and the substances and glues that you're working with. So again, I would really highly recommend, I mean, I haven't got any glue on my hands, but it's quite easy when you're doing something like that to get an overspill of glue on your fingers. You know, if you've got sensitive skin, it could be, you know, could irritate you. I just find wearing gloves is prohibitive and actually is counterproductive. So the best thing, again, I probably mentioned it in another videos, is I use this product here, Roselex. It's a dry guard barrier cream, very, very good product. Just take, it's a sort of not very pleasant smelling thing, but not unpleasant. Just give yourself a good coating of that on your hands before you start, and then you'll find as you work through all of this, when you come to the end of the working day or your modelling session, give your hands a good clean, and then it'll come up like you haven't been doing anything. So very, very good product, especially when you're using glues as well. So that's it, apart from this hatch here, and there's some detailing on here, which the Armortek model tells you to pop one of these there, which I think are the crane lifting points there, and I think the other one goes on the back like that. Well, checking the Armortek site again, they come up with an alternative, which is quite nice. I mean, I haven't done any welding detail on this tank, although people do it, but I quite like that as an alternative to that. I think it looks better. Don't know what you guys think, but it's certainly, I think, my preference. Yeah, I'm definitely going to use that instead. So I'll put those on in a second. The next thing is to attach the hatch that I've pre-made. Just a little bit concerned because this is just a glued in piece, which is what Armortek recommend. But obviously, being the fact that it's laying directly on the bench, it could affect and break off. But let's have a look. So we're going to pop that up around. So this is the first time I've offered that into that. Yeah, feels right. I might need to pop over a bit more. Just having a look through the holes. Seems fine. So we have a couple of pins. Now I'm going to try and drive that in. Use my pliers. That's gone in nicely. Same this side. If it lets me, same this side. Well, that's actually gone in there very nicely. So just finishing off that, sending it home, if you like, with the pliers. And that's it from the, I'll show you. That's it from the inside. Love the detailing on this. Not worried there. So that's what I might do, is actually just take that edge off, because I don't want that scratching the paint. But so the idea is that when this is up and there's a chap standing in here, and this loading door is actually open, you get to see all of this detail rather than what Armortek send you, which is just this without all of this on. So again, it's something I'd like, you know, I'd recommend if you really wanted to do something like that. It's quite a nice finishing detail. So that's it for this session. We are pretty much done. Been an amazing journey. I will do a finishing off video shortly, showing you a bit more of the paint job that I did on the top deck. And the next thing I'm going to be doing will be preparing and gluing and painting all the accessories, which are the final sort of part, if you like, of finishing off the accessories on the top deck, shovels and all the rest of it. So I'll be doing a bit of that, and then we'll be doing the next part for me then will be to clean everything up as normal, paint the turret in this piece. I'll probably paint these separately because I don't know yet until I get all the other bits that I need for the option packs. But I'm guessing that I may need to take this off separately to the turret. If not, I don't see how I can actually physically get to the wing nuts that they give you to secure the turret on, which are somewhere over here. So I think this has to be removable, so that you take this off, then you take the turret off, and then you take the main top deck off to get to all of the sort of the motors and the electronics of the tank. So that's it for me for now. I'll be back shortly giving you a bit of a closing out. Thank you. So this is how she's looking now. Very pleased with the progress so far. Went ahead and painted the top deck while I was experimenting with the gun barrel. Really pleased how that's come out. Obviously the next step on here would be the accessories, the tow cables, and all the rest of it. The turret still to be painted, but it's not been bolted in position, but I've just aligned it on its main mountings and it's rotating beautifully. Absolutely amazing. I love this kit from Armortek. I think the engineering is just sublime. Yes, there's a couple of issues with manufacturing, but you know, get around those. You know, I've resolved this, managed to get this opening and shutting perfectly as it should. The cupola opens and closes as it should. I've got to put the machine gun mount on here, but that needs a little bit of work. But generally speaking, I'm really pleased, and kind of a little bit sad that I'm coming to the end of this, but this was a winter project for me. What more are you going to do on a dirty English wet weekend? Summer's coming, or spring's here and summer's coming, so this has been a perfect project for the winter months, those dark dreary nights. But anyway, that's me, Tony, still trying to build this tank, or almost getting there. And the next time I see you will be all the finishing touches, and we'll have this painted. And I've also managed to get hold of some markings for the tank, which I'll go over, decals basically. Took a bit of searching on the web, but I'll go over those. Really pleased. I've sort of had a look at the scale, works perfectly. And there's a few other bits and pieces I'm going to be doing to the tank. So until I see you next time, if you like this, thumbs up, subscribe, you know what to do. Thanks again.